So the weather is starting to show signs of changing. The leaves are turning brown. The water is cooling down a little bit. And for me, that means one thing. That means that the fishing becomes much more varied, and we need to target every fish possible in our pegs to make the most of it. It's not just about catching those big wobbly carp now. We need to think about other ways of getting that as many fish feeding as possible to get to the weight that we need to win these matches. And that leads to some absolutely phenomenal days fishing where we can catch literally a bit of everything. There's nothing more fun than that. And that's what we've come to do exactly that today. We've come to Hampton Springs. I'm on the Meadow Pool, probably my favourite lake here at Hampton, where I'm going to have a day very similar to the last video. If you caught the last video up at Old Huff, it was about locating your fish, keeping your fish in one area and making the most, understanding your pegs, seeing what's going on. Today is going to be very similar. I mean, that later in the summer, this time of year now, there's still loads of fish to be caught. So I've not got to worry about having pegs all over the place, keeping them rested, ticking over. There's still a lot of fish to be caught. But what I need to be doing is catching the right fish, and I need to be attracting fish in the right way to make sure I'm catching the right fish at the right time and I'm making the most of my peg. So without further ado, that is what today's about. So join me at the peg. I'm going to mix up some bait and I'll talk exactly about what I'm waffling on about. So at the peg, all comfy, and I've picked a very standard open water sort of peg for displaying. Displaying, that was a good word, wasn't it? But for showing exactly what I'm talking about, while keeping the fish concentrated while keeping my options open. And as I say, I'm just going to fish one area. Yeah, in today's case, I've chosen a nice area, sort of, I'm going to put a plummet on and show you lot. Sort of 6, 7 meters out, well on the bottom of the shelf. I want to target the flat area in my peg, just past the shelf. Yes, there's a little bit of silt, but I want it to be nice and flat so I can get my bait to do it what I want to do with it, sort of thing. So I'm going to have 2 rigs for this, and they're both set exactly the same depth. I've got one right on the end of my section. You can see there, plumbed up beautifully, middle of my body, and that's a 0.4 rig. But I'm not actually going to use the 0.4 rig there. That's going to be a 0.5 rig. But then I've got another line in pretty much exactly the same depth on me. It's my number 7 marker on my pole. So there. And you see exactly the same depth. Yeah, the 2 different rigs are literally for 2 different shotting patterns. So they're going to present my bait in a different way. As you can see, there's a little bit of silt there. If I whack that down, might get a bubble. Oh, not too much. So it's just a slight bit of silt. I mean, that's whacking in a 20-gram plummet. It just goes down a little bit. So I'm not too worried about my bait sinking into that. It's going to take a lot of rummaging about on the fish's behalf to make my bait go into the silt. So I'm quite happy fishing in that area. And as I said, the 2 different areas are pretty much within 10 mil the same depth. So I've got no problems using either rig on either. But you can see what's in between them then. A metre in between them all. So between my M9 marker and my M7 marker, I'm going to say there's a metre difference between them, but it's still within the 1 area of feed that I'm going to put in. So that's the areas of my peg sorted, just keeping things concentrated. And if I quickly run through my rigs, whiz him out. So we're not going to go too much in detail with components and that, but just keep things simple. As I said, I've got 2 rigs. Yeah, I've got a 0.5 on one of our finesse slims or slim carbons, and I've got a 0.4 as well. Yeah, the 0.5 is for fishing in a very trappy way, a very, very accurate way. Bit more weight down the line. I'll show you them. Keep it nice and still so Jake doesn't shout at me. Bottom end, really, really bottom end heavy. You can see I've got 8 and 9 number 9s on there. Really, really positive. Nothing's to do with fishing through the water. I want to get it over my little pile that I'm going to put in, my attraction area, and I'm going to catch very, very quickly over that. However, my other rig, my 0.4, maybe I should have gone a bit lighter. Maybe a 0.3 would have been better. Bit lighter. That's only got 6 number 9s on. Just a bit of a nicer fall. They're going to see what's going on a little bit better. Just catch me a few more fish on the drop on that one. So it covers the options in the way I'm going to feed. And what the plan to feed is to have 1 little area of ground bait and then 1 area of loose feed, all within that metre square. So quickly, before I go waffling about how I exactly want to do things, I'll show you how I want to mix my ground baits, just talk you through the bait for the session, just to see exactly how I'm going to approach this lovely versatile peg. So, quick baity bit. As I said, it's all about keeping things simple on this and keeping my bait versatile so I can catch every single possible species, because I need to. Yeah, I keep rabbiting on about the same thing. It's like a match of 2 hours at this time of year. to begin with, just as we have today, really, really cold. It's going to be slow starting in most situations. So you need to stack the odds in your favour by fishing baits that you can catch nearly anything. I mean, a little bit selective. We don't want to be catching these, but baits that catch anything. As you can see, that is what we've got. Really, really simple. I'm going to feed maggots today. I want to feed maggots or casters. I'm feeding maggots because I ain't got no casters. So what I want to do as well is have my maggots. I'm going to have some micro pellets. Again, these are just going to be some food items in my ground bait, so I'm not going to mix many. Just a pint of imperfects, just covered in water. Leave them. I mean, I've just covered them. They've got about 2 mil of water over them. I'll leave them until I start fishing. I mean, I'm not going to drain them off. I've got some worms to chop up. I've got some sweet corn as my standout hook bait for picking off them bigger fish. And the day is all going to be about, other than my loose feed area, again, I'll talk to you about how I'm going to feed in a minute, is my ground bait that's going to be on the back of my bait. My ground bait isn't me attractor, or it is. It's not my main food item though in my bait. Yeah, all the ground bait is working as is a homing in point, because I've got my big area loose feed. The ground bait's at the back of it, which is quite different, and it's just an area to drag them bonus fish into, or to drag any fish into almost. So because of that, I've gone with a bit of a different mix. Whereas normally my favourites in the world is F1 Original. I use that for 80% of my fishing. But because I want something almost a bit more potent, a bit more attractive, and that's more appealing to everything, I'm going to swap to Thatcher's Original, that I'm just going to use literally half a bag. I don't need much at all. Like a kilo of ground bait is going to be absolutely tons. So first off, Thatcher's Original, really fine. It's got loads and loads and loads of fish meal. It is the most potent mix, fish meal terms, that Sonubaits make. And then I'm going to add to that some of the beautiful sweet maple, which is the new mix that we just brought out this year. And while it's very, very similar to Thatcher's, it's slightly more coarse, makes it easy to mix. And also it has that sweet element, just again, increasing the versatility of that mix so I can catch everything. I mean, I want to catch some skimmers, I want to catch some roach, I want to catch, well, you can catch anything in here, some tench crucians, whatever. Give that a quick mix. As you can see, I've not got much. I've barely got a kilo of mix there. And 2 of them bags are going to do 2 or 3 sessions. But because it's got the bread element to this mix, I need to mix it properly, sort of thing. I mean, you've seen me loads and loads of times with my pellet-based mixes, my F1, my Super Crush, even my Match Method. I can mix that in one hit. I can give it a load of water, I can clag it up to a paste, and I know once I put it in my riddle, it'll be beautiful. This is a bit more delicate. You need to mix it old school sort of thing. So, by giving it a little dribble, yeah, that wasn't too much, hopefully, whizzing it up, and just as we would with most of our like natural mixed ground baits, I'm going to give that a good mix, so it's like the consistency of sort of wet sand. I mean, that's there now, that is absolutely beautiful now, but that's going to suck up all the moisture and go a little bit too dry. So I'm not here boring you forever. It's just the case now of adding a little bit of water to it, slowly, 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 keeping it that wet sand consistency. And once it stays there for sort of 10 or 15 minutes, chuck it through a riddle. Make sure it's as wet as possible without going claggy and messy, because I want to do something with it later on. And yeah, 10 minutes time, 15 minutes time, once I've added some more water, put it through a riddle, that will be spot on and ready to go. Right, so bait all prepped. As you can see, he's been through the riddle. He is beautiful, but slightly on the dry side, which is how I want it, because it gives me options to feed it in different ways. So as you can see, I can just make a ball of that, but if I were to feed that, I don't think it'd get to the bottom, even though it's only, what, 3.5, 4 foot. No matter how hard I squeeze that, that's going to be breaking up really, really quickly as it goes down. Not what I want at first. Yeah, I need me trap. So what I'm going to do is just have 2 great big handfuls of bait in there. Probably, what, pint and a half, 2 pints of ground bait. And chuck that to the side for later on. And what I'm going to add to that is all my bait. I want to put my bait in it, so I've got this lovely little bait-filled trap on the back of my bait. Yeah, this is what I've been sort of waiting to tell you is the way I'm going to feed my peg. It's almost back to front. It's very unusual, but it makes a lot of sense when I start talking about it. But it does to me anyway, so be nice. So first off, I'm going to drown my ground bait. Yeah, I want that to be a lot wetter. So by doubling the amount of water in that, almost making it a slop, but not quite. A little bit more wetter. I want it to be a bit paste-like, so it goes down in a nice little nugget. Oh, that's beautiful. That's how we want it. Like that. So I know that'll get all the way to the bottom. Yes, it'll create a bit of a cloud, but it'll clag together as well and take my bait down to the bottom nicely. Let me grab a cloth. And then what I'm going to do is add all my bait to that. So I've chopped up probably 100 mil of worms, not much worm at all. I've whizzed them up, and I'm also going to put in a big handful of micro pellets as well. So baits that are tailored towards bigger fish. Yeah, I'm not putting in loads of pinkies or maggots or casters. I'm keeping it quite a selective thing at the back. And the reason for that being, if I whiz that up now, is I'm also going to have a massive area of loose feed in my peg. And there's my mix. See, it's just got the odd micro pellet, the odd bit of worm. It's nice and selective. I mean, that's going to catch me some big fish. On the back of my bait, let's wash my hands. And so what I'm after, as I say, is to use my ground bait as an attractor and a homing in point. So my ground bait's going to be at the back of my peg. Grip it up on the top then. Right at the back of my peg, that's where my ground bait's going to be. And that's going to be just fed with a little cup. Yeah. This side of my ground bait, however, is where my loose feed area is going to be, where I'm going to feed me maggots or casters or maggots in this case, where I'm going to attract a lot of fish into my peg. And the reason behind it is what I'm thinking is because I'm putting this little area of ground bait in, it means I'm stacking the odds in my favour of getting a quick response, because it's only a little bit of bait in a very accurate area. So anything that comes into my peg, I'm going to catch them quickly. Whereas my loose feed, if I were to start over that, obviously I'm going to chuck quite a few maggots in. I'm going to be feeding 10, 20 maggots constantly on that line to attract fish into my peg, to bring lots and lots of fish for later in the session. If I were to start over that, kingfisher again, it's almost a needle in a haystack. I mean, if I feed this many maggots, so what's there, probably 40, 50, 60 maggots, and I fish a single maggot among it really quickly because there's no fish there, it's going to be really hard to catch fish fast on it. Whereas by putting my little trap in, which is what I'm going to do straight away, put my little blob of ground bait in, that's all he is there. And so I know it's not too silty, so I know that's going to sit on the top of the silt beautifully. It gives me a chance of getting those early fish that come into my peg. Plus it has the added advantage of, because it's going to be on the back end of my bait, just put that little trap in. Beautiful. See, that's gone down no cloud whatsoever. I know that little stodgy ball of paste will get straight to the bottom. Yeah, because I'm on the back end of my bait, or I will be, there's a good chance of the bonus fish being there anyway. So it stacks all the odds in my favour of catching the right fish as quickly as possible while not being too selective. I mean, I might catch an odd little fish, but I'm doing everything I can to build my peg up. So once that's in, say that's at the end of my pole, right at the end of a reflection as I'm seeing it, I'm going to feed my bait. My loose feed is going to go there. So really, really similar area, but what, 30 centimetres, maybe half a metre short of where I'm actually fishing with my ground bait. And it gives me the option of feeding both while keeping pretty much one area of fish. I mean, it's not big enough for there to be different groups. They're all going to be pretty much on that area, with a good chance of them coming in from the backside of it, of course, and finding my ground bait before they get to that loose feed. So I'm just going to be nice and patient to begin with. Just put my little trap in. See, this is why I've got my heavy flow. I've got my 0.5 float on, shotted really, really heavy, because there's no point having anything falling through the water, anything nice, because where I'm fishing, nothing is doing that. So I literally want that really accurate pile that's sitting there on the bottom, waiting for a decent fish to come in, or the first fish to come into my peg, and then I get a bite off it. See how that ground bait just kicked off then? That was quite unusual, that, in that it had gone in my peg and not fizzed, and then all of a sudden, probably 30 seconds to a minute later, it's starting to kick off. So that'll either be a case of it's completely broke down, it's just releasing them little lively morsels that are within it, or it means the first fish is coming to my peg. And I should get a bite as long as I'm nice and accurate. But in the meantime, so while I'm sat there, I'm going to keep loose feeding in this area. There we go. Oh, that was a bit premature. I should have waited on that then. It's lovely. Get him in, sink that line. Keep my loose feed going in. Just you can see when it goes in, I'm doing my absolute very, very best not to throw any bait over the top of my float. Yeah, mine is the only maggot at the back end of that feed. I mean, this is something I've done a million times in the past on my short line, where you may be feeding casters for silverfish or fishing for F1 short with maggots, and you always fish that back end of your bait. Oh, I missed another one there. What's happening? Line bites, aren't they? That's what Andy calls them. But with the added attraction of that ground bait, because I'm not fishing for one species. I mean, if I was fishing for just carp, just F1s, I probably wouldn't want that ground bait early in the session. It'd probably be a bit detrimental because it's almost a bit too potent for them sort of fish early in the day. Whereas at a venue like this, that I know is full of great big skimmers, roach, crucians, tension, all sorts, they're going to be far more likely to be attracted to that ground bait initially before I can drag them onto my loose feed later on once I get massive numbers into my peg. And they become far easier to catch. You can see now, little indication then. I'm not getting any indications really on my float whatsoever. So if I were to fish a single maggot among, there's probably 60 on the bottom already, it's very, very unlikely I'm going to get a bite, that they're going to find my bait that quick. So I'm just going to give this a sec. So I've had 2 indications on it now. Starting to get an odd little pimple come up in my peg. It's going to small maggots. How have I missed 3 of the best bites in the world? Like Houdini bites. Let's feed them again. See, none of my baits get into my float. I'm making sure everything stays short of it. I'm going to sit here now. Just hopefully my trap's still in place. I'm getting a bit worried because I've had 3 indications. 4 indications. You having it? Come on. I'm starting to feel, yeah, I'm getting my first. That is 1,000,000% of fish eating it now. See the fizzing that's coming up? I say the fizzing's not over my maggots, it's over my ground bait, which is brilliant. That tells me that that has been the key attractor in bringing the fish into my peg. They've gone to my ground bait first because that's what they want to eat. That's the most attractive parcel in my peg sort of thing. And it gives me the chance of catching one nice and quick. Thought I'd have had one by now, but I have missed 2 very, very good bites. But in a second, I'm going to re-put that trap in again because there's a good chance that could have gone. So it'll have definitely dispersed now. And you can see, I don't know if the camera quite picks it up, in that there's no activity anymore, the ground bait. I had that initial fizz where you could tell that there was ground bait on the bottom. I was fishing over it. That's gone very, very quickly, which to me tells me that they've eaten it. So I'm going to get my next little ball ready. Just slightly, I'm not squeezing it really hard, just clagging it together nice. Just a lovely pasty lump with some micros and worms in it. See that fizzing right over my bait still. Just going to give it a second because I'm seeing signs. Just see, it's an odd little wobble on my bristle. Just not quite happy to go down and nail it yet. Or maybe they want a little bit of worm as well. That's my next choice, is to put a little bit of worm on the hook. Because my maggots, the standalone out there, they might not want that. Feed this once more short, and then I'm going to come in and feed him again. I'm pretty sure that first bit's all gone. I'm putting another bit in, a little bit smaller than the first, just in case I've got it wrong, but put my trap in. You can see there's no cloud whatsoever off that. It's lovely, claggy, pasty. I know it's getting right to the bottom where I want it. And just have that heavy rig, plonk it in the fizz, and I can't do things more accurate than that. What I will do though is just pull my float slightly, like that, just to tighten my rig up. Without moving my bait, I'm just creating a bit of a curve, keep things tight, and that'll tell me if anything's coming into my peg over that little ball of loveliness. See, that's moving with it now. There's one on the end of that. Hey! What have we got? Not tiny fish. All I didn't want to catch is a little diddy roach and perch. And we've got a flipping skin bob first fish, which is exactly what I want to catch. Just slightly bigger than that if we can. But that is a perfect sort of example of the fish that are going to come into my bag first. I mean, not tiny silvers that I don't want to catch, that I would catch over my loose feed if I went on it. Well, I'd imagine I would, because there's millions of little roach and perch in here. Instead, by having no cloud, no excitement for them, I mean, no wriggling maggots, no bait falling through the water. Just going to put another little pile in again. Not much at all, a little halfer. What's that? It's a sprout, innit? Rumbler like that. Best dog in the world, innit? Sprout. Sprout-sized ball of ground bait. and what I'm hoping it does, possibly for like an hour, maybe 2 hours of the session, I'd be more than happy to just keep on fishing this line, knowing that I'm building this short line up, the short air line, all the time with them maggots going in. I lost a shot. That was good. Just hold on to that a bit tighter. It's weird, I didn't get a proper bite then, even though I've got a really heavy rig on. My bite was just like, it was just moving a bit. That tells me I could be a bit over depth here. There could be some really soft silt that I'm not feeling on my plummet, because everything's in place to show bites up. And I've got a big old shot. I've got a number 9 right on top of a 4-inch hook length. So I should be seeing bites really, really quickly. So you can see all the activity, literally 100% of it, is over that ground bait. Yeah, the fizzing, the blowing, the big carp that just moved to the left is all over the ground bait. Look at that. It's crazy, isn't it? They're not wanting to be on the loose feed yet because of the lack of attraction in it, because of the spread of the bait, probably because of the little fish that are nailing a good percentage of it on the way down. By doing this just at the back of it, it means I'm not putting loads of fish in there, but hopefully I'm going to catch quality fish when I do so. So nice and patient now, just wait for that. I might clag this ground bait up a little bit more in a minute, just wet it a little bit more. Just I'm a little bit worried about that silt. So that bite, having that first indication, and it not being a proper dink has worried me a little bit. So I'm getting indication still, just slight little movements on my float like that, if you lot can see that. So nice and patient, wait for something to happen. Hopefully, I definitely feel there's some quality fish coming into my peg now. So those fizzes aren't off 3-ounce skimmers or little roach. There's definitely some bigger fish there that hopefully I've made feed a bit quicker. So the only other option that I could have done is potentially just feed micros instead of the ground bait pass, but I don't like that. I think there's far more attraction and I can feed so much less bait with ground bait as I can with micros to make something happen. You see little indications all the time, it's just not going under. Keep that bait going in, keep attracting them into my peg. And hopefully soon I'll be able to have a little dabble on that. That might be why there's not too many fish on the bottom. And F1 just swirled me maggots then, which isn't ideal. But they're the ones I want to make them go down. So I'm just going to hang fire a little bit with them maggots. I don't want them coming up. So that can definitely be a thing now with it being so cold overnight and then warming up in the day. Those fish are really, really keen on coming up in the water, which will be great once I get them on the loose feed properly. But to begin with, I don't want to try and do that. I want to keep them on the bottom. Little indications there. And that's the one. Just clag this ground bait up a little bit more water. Just on a section of it that's in my tub. Just to try and get it to sit on that silt a little bit. With the way it's going, when I'm getting fizzes and not getting a bite, I'm quite worried that it's plugging into the silt when I'm putting it in. And they're not actually being able to find me bait. So by feeding it like that, a bit sloppier, hopefully that'll fix it. Just give this 2 more seconds, see if we get a bite. There's definitely fish there. This should draw them in a little bit quicker. So a much sloppier piece this time, but it's still, because of the bread in that ground bait, and because of the coarseness of the sweet maple stuff, I shouldn't get too much of a cloud when I put that in. See when that goes in? There you go, get him in. It's not too bad, little tiny cloud at the top, but I'm still really confident that that's getting down to the bottom in a sloppy lump. That was better then, that was an indication immediately then. Yeah, maybe them little hard marbles were just a little bit too stodgy. We're just going into the silt. That's what I was on about keeping most of your mix there, nice and dry, nice and ready to go, so you can dick about with it and get it right for the type of peg that you're fishing. This feels better already. Like immediately it feels better. Although that one was pretty much shallow, I think. Give it a little bit more loose feed. So I think the loose feed's very much doing its job in attracting fish into the peg. I'm just not pinpointing them yet. But hopefully within a cast or two, things should start kicking off. So I'm quite surprised that it's F1s that have come into my peg first. I was very much expecting today would have been cooler to get some great big poppadons like that coming into my peg first. And then the F1s later on. But maybe I'm being a bit too delicate. What's mad then, isn't it? Just changing ground bait. Literally the consistency of my ground bait with one cast. And it just means I'm putting some bait where the fish can actually access it, instead of it being buried in the silt. I'm convinced that's what was happening there. Just by them little signs of seeing some fizzes and not getting any proper bites, and also the bite that I had not being in the mouth. That is a lovely little tip in understanding what's going on the bottom. That. Same again, that lovely little wet bit. It's the consistency is of paste that is too sloppy to put on your hook. I'm going to say that's about right for this. Fishing on top of the mud. Let's see if that's fixed things really, really quickly. Put my violin. So it's just a tiny little cloud when it goes in, so I'm not going to draw any fish up for that cloud. Let's see if that's fixed it. A bit of loose feed again. So you can still see all of the bubbles are only on my ground baited area. Yeah, there is nothing whatsoever over my maggots. Literally not a bubble, not an indication of a fish. So they're either not on that yet, or it's just the odd F1 shallow on it, but I'm going to ignore them yet. They'll just be single fish that create a lot of problems and you don't actually catch. Whereas here, this feels like this is starting to rock now. Nice and patient, my trap's in. So you almost know when you're going to get a bite. The fizzing just gets a little bit more excitable. And you know that one's just about to find your bait. I'm going to go in next with a little piece of worm though as well. I think it's the only bait I'm feeding. There's no maggots out there where I'm fishing now. There's only a little bit of worm and a few micro pellets. So maybe with them being clever skin bobs and bream, oh, that was a proper bite. Big heron. He's caught more than me today. Maybe they can be a bit fussy with what they're picking out. Still, I'd like this to have been a little bit more productive to begin with, but I suppose it's all I can expect. It was really, really cold last night. It was like 3 degrees driving up here. So the fish are always going to be a bit unpredictable to begin with. But while still giving myself the best chance of getting a bite by fishing in this way. Give this a second, and then the next thing is change hook bait. I might even just take 2 or 3 mil off my depth. You see there's little indications like that. I'm getting little tiny lifts. Quite often with the size of fish that I've caught, those skimmers, they can have it in the mouth and be ejecting it really, really quick if it's not the bait that they want. So if I can see my bite a fraction of a second quicker, see that little dip like that then? See that was on for quite a while that then, and I wasn't seeing it. Ooh, this is going a bit technically instead of baity, but I like that, different. See, little twisty skimmers. The worst fish in the world to get bites off, they are. And like I said, I've already got a number 9. You can see me number 9 there, just 4 inches away. So I should be seeing bites really, really quickly. So what I'm going to do, first off, I'm going to swap my bait. I'm going to put just a little teeny bit of worm on. And I mean a teeny bit, literally like the equivalent of a maggot. Oh, where's my worm tub? Here it is. You can see, just like a maggot. Really, really simple. And because I've got my fine tuners on there, I can just knock my fine tuners down 10 mil. Bring that down to hopefully now I'm fishing on top of the silt. With a bit of luck, that'll show the bite up a wee bit better. Same again, get the sloppy stuff, that seems to be producing a bite quicker. Let's see if they pick this out nicely. They're really fizzing on it. They're definitely decent fish that are on top of that. They are not little fishies. Maggots going in. I'm trying to feed that 2 or 3 times a cast. I don't want it to have too much attraction going on with the maggots, as in the noise of the bait going on the water and the bait falling through the water. Because if I do it too often, I get a bit too giddy on it. Yes, of course, it's going to pull all my fish off this line. It's naturally going to do so, isn't it? But it's about getting that balance nice and right, so I can use this line as my early place to catch fish. I can also use this line, my ground bait line at the back of it, as my resting line as well. So once I have a little dabble on my loose feed in a minute, I can always use this. If it goes a bit quiet, catch a few fish on my loose feed, goes a bit quiet, I can go back out there and give myself options. And what I bet we'll find, there's something weird over there then. What I bet we'll find, is that an indication? Here we go. There's a better one. That's what we were waiting for. Is that we'll catch different fish on each line. I mean, the loose feed line we're probably going to catch some F1s, some little fish, lots of roach, lots of perch, some gudgeon. Whereas the back line that we're on now is going to be for the much cleverer fish, the skimmers, the big skimmers. There's lots of 2-pounders in here. And in this case, a big wobbly carpy, which is beautiful. That is exactly what I was after. An early carp like that, I'm not going to catch that within loose feed. Yeah, if I were to have been really selective and just fish my loose feed, or if I were to even just sit there with hard pellets on, come here, odds are I wouldn't have caught that because it's not willing to eat in that way. There's not enough attraction and there's probably too many options for me to catch it. Whereas, by doing things how we have, a bonus fish has come into my peg and I've caught one far earlier than what I would in any other way. Which has actually pulled me right out of trouble because I was just starting to worry then and thinking things weren't going to go the right way. But a lovely 6-pounder is the perfect sort of start I want. And what I will do now, I'll just give it one more go. On the ground bait line, just feed that again. He's even left me my worm. That worm's perfect, catching a skimmer. Let's go back on my ground bait. Just try and catch one more, so I am putting a little bit of bait in there. I'm going to give it nearly a full cup that time, so there's a bit of bait left. And the next cast, that quick, I'm going to have my first go on my loose feed, because it might be good today. It might be that I can catch on my loose feed very, very early. Or, if not, it'll still teach me something. It'll teach me what's going on in my peg. And how I'm best off doing things. Get that loose feed in. Just don't, oh, it's a little bit too far, that. Try my hardest not to get it on top of my bait. See, another proper fizz on that. You can see that my peg's just changing. It's getting more and more activity going on. I'm not going to say taking, it's like a pterodactyl, that then. I'm not going to say taking that 10 mil off made a difference then. With a little skimmer, I think it would have. But I don't think that carp's going to not show a bite up once he nails it. He's big in that heron, isn't he? So yeah, the peg is now starting to work. Yeah, really starting to get better. I was probably a little bit quick. I probably should have had a little sneaky feed before we put these cameras on. But now you can see really quickly, what, 10, 15 minutes in, I'm starting to catch really steady now and I've caught a skimmer. I mean, the intended quarry what I want, but with a bonus fish chucked in. And what I will do now is have a quick go on my loose feed. So I wouldn't do this if I was fishing a match or fishing myself. I'd be staying on that now. I'd want to build it. I'd want to make it get better and better and better. However, for today, we've got to fit this into about 40 minutes. So I need to be a bit quicker with doing things. So quick look now with my lighter rig. Yeah, on my marker. So I've got my marker where I'm going to fish it. I'm just going to flick my bait past and go right over the top of my loose feed now, just to see what's there. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if I was straight back onto my other line, because that's where the attraction is. That's where the most excitement is for them fish. On this line, it's just boring maggots. But if I can catch any fish on it this quick, it'll give me a lovely area that I can rotate, even though that's just missed a carp then, I reckon. I don't know if you lot can see the fizzing just past me float. I'd say 90% I've just missed a carp by not going back on that, or missed a bonus fish of some sort. It's quite a few weird things in here. So that's amazed me. Going on my loose feed, that has almost not moved. It just really, really surprised me. I thought we would catch some tiny fish on it, but at the minute it is a case of my bait is needle in a haystack. And there's probably 100 maggots on the bottom there now. And my bait is just sitting there among it, not going. Which just tells me that I'm too early to be on my loose feed. I will give it one more go. Little tiny indication then. I've just gone in with a single maggot as well, so I've not tried to be selective. I've just gone to see what's there. Quick go, single maggot. Really, really as neutral bait as I could possibly have, I suppose, isn't it, for catching anything? Another 30 maggots in. I'm just going to watch that now by holding my rig tight, just to see if anything's intercepting that on the way down. See that little tiny dip then? So there are some fish eating me maggots. So by holding your rig nice and tight, that can teach you that. So a percentage of them aren't getting to the bottom, which is a good thing. It means I'm not accumulating too much bait on the bottom. So I'm just going to do it again and see if it happens again. And it might mean there's quite a few fish shallow in my peg. Oh, a little bit further. So see if anything happens, just hold it tight. Hold it tight, hold it tight. See, nothing happened that time. So if I'd have had another indication then, that'd have been a sign for me to put a quick shallow rig on, see if I catch one shallow, because there could be some there, but I'm not having it. Everything wants to be at the minute on my ground bait, which demonstrates things perfectly, to be fair. I was worried it was going to go back to front and make me look a right wally. There we go. Ooh, that was finally an indication then, but I think that was just a liner. Last go on the maggots. Keep them going in. Hold it tight again. Once it's settled, see an indication again. So there are some fish definitely in my peg, shallow. Here we go. What's this? Is it a different fish? No, it's another skimmer, but I didn't feel as in tune with that. I didn't feel like I was going to get a bite as quick on that as I was on my ground bait. So we're getting somewhere now. It really is starting to become a peg. In that I understand, or I'm slowly starting to understand. It's made another worm. We caught one on that quick, didn't we? Where the best place for me, best place to be is at certain times. But it'll change throughout the day. I mean, the whole goal is to get them on them maggots, don't get me wrong. Once they're on them, it means I've got a lot of fish into me peg. I'll double that because we haven't been on it for a bit. Yeah, the goal is to get them on my maggots because it means I've attracted millions of fish into my peg, and then I can catch them really, really quickly. But before that occurs, I have to just be patient with this line that I'm fishing, take it as it comes, just catch whatever comes into my peg, but at the same time building all that. I'm calling it a singular area, it is. I mean, all the fish are they're within a metre, aren't they? All my bait is within a metre. I've got nothing else in my peg. I'm stacking the odds in my favour as much as I possibly can that any fish willing to feed are all in this one area. Bit of a weird indication then, don't strike at that. They've definitely been in the bottom. See, but it's real. See the difference on my peg now? Now it is really starting to kick off. It wouldn't surprise me if there's another carp down there. Which, you'll have to take my word for it. I promise at this venue, any other way I would not have caught any carp earlier on. They just don't feed for some reason until really late on here for whatever reason. So to catch one early definitely makes me happy and know that I'm doing things in the best way I could be. Keep that bait going in. So I think the signs will be, I do have to keep, that's another swirl line short. I do have to keep dropping on that shorter line to really, really understand what's going on. But because of the proximity of the two lines, there's also the massive chance that even though I'm loose feeding 30 centimetres, 50 centimetres short of my float, I'll still get liners occurring where I'm fishing now. See, I'm getting an odd little dib, dib, dob, dob now. So there's a lot more fish starting to come into my peg now. So even though I'm feeding short, it can generate liners on my back line. So it tells me what's going on. I may have come off that maggot line a little bit too quick then without understanding exactly what was happening, but I do feel like there's a big fish to be caught here. Just be nice and patient. Lots of little, oh, it's jogging down. Oh. And that was a skim of that then. So I could go a bit more selective as well. I could put a bit of corn on or something like that, something that stands out a bit. So because of the level of bubbles I'm getting, there's definitely quite a bit of silt down there as well. So maybe I need a bit of a bigger bait just to stand out once I get a lot of fish in my peg. But for the time being, I'm happy just to be patient. I'm pretty sure one will find it. I think the worm was much better than maggots, is it? I think it was just coincidence getting those couple of bites quickly on a worm. I think maggots are as good as anything on the hook. I'll go in with maggots next cast. It's exciting, isn't it? I love, almost through, no, in the summer it's probably a bit too excessive. But at this time of year now, once it's just that autumn's just starting to kick in, having pegs where you get so much activity going on with bubbles and liners, it gives you so much confidence that something's going to happen. And it's only a short window before we have no bubbles and nothing going on, and you can't develop a peg because you can't see that there's fish present, so it's too scary to do anything. I love at this time of year seeing that there's fish in my peg. 100%, they've got to be, they're nothing else, and working out the best way of getting them on the hook. Making them little subtle changes to do so. I thought we were going to get a bite then. I'm going to go back in with maggots. I think they're being a bit fussy now. But surely they're eating maggots because there's loads of them in the peg. Is this back? I think it was kicking off then and it's gone backwards again. Just going to go in with single maggot this time because those little skimmers can be a little bit clever. Little nugget of ground bait. The only issue I could have is if there's a few F1s in the peg, they could be eating this ground bait on the way down. But I don't think they are. I think we're safe. So if I can get my rig right over that really quick, I can watch then if there is anything coming straight to me ground bait. That lovely tight rig. I'm going to get a bite really quick this cast, I'm feeling it. And if not, I'm going to go back onto my maggots. So if I weren't to fish that, if I were to split things up and have multiple lines over my peg, it takes so much longer to gain an understanding of another swirl then. They're coming up, the bigger fish are definitely up, I think. The F1s in particular. Yeah, if I'd have split my pegs into different areas of feed all over, it takes such a long time to gain an understanding of how the fish are feeding on the day. whether they are being delicate, whether they're having a proper chew, whatever else. And by doing things like this, I'm never introducing a volume of bait that spoils my peg. I'm always in control of it. It's always getting eaten. It's just about them being a little bit fussy at the minute because there's not too much competition there. And also with how early it is in the day. But by watching what's going on in this one area, I'm not distracted. I'm able to make things happen as quickly as I possibly can. That's got to be a carp on it. Got to be. Well, I'm starting to get worried now, though, that this may have made my peg a bit deeper. There's a lot of fizz in there, a lot more than what I expected. So what I might do in a second, that's 1,000,000% a carp in my peg, isn't it? Yeah, what I'll do in a second is just put a plummet on and see if they've dug me out, because I think there's a good chance they will have today. Let's get that back in there. That didn't upset that carp then, he's carried on feeding. That might have just been a liner. It's crazy, isn't it? But still, no activity whatsoever over me maggots. I never understand that, whether the ground bait obviously is so much more attractive than anything else. Why do they never like fizz like that over particles? Or they would if you fed pellets and that, which is strange. I think they just feed differently over ground bait or something. Don't know. Stick it in the comments, let me know. So I'm going to plumb this up again. Something's wrong here. I'm getting too many fish in my peg and not getting a bite. So I'm going to whiz that back, have a quick look. I'm liking this. This is becoming more a technical one about pegs changing rather than the actual feed that we're putting in today, but I've got no problem with that. Let's have a look. What are we guessing? Oh, that's horrendous. Like horrendous, isn't it? Horrendous. Oh my God. That's incredible, isn't it? That's gone. Wow. I moved that down 10 mil. Yeah, 10 millimeters from my fine tuners. I'd move that. So now I'm going to go up 40 mil. And I'm still struggling to be on the bottom. Still off the bottom, 40 mil up. It's dug a complete hole out there where I've been feeding. That's crazy, isn't it? Because if I go to here, there's a fish. Yeah, if I go to there, it's sound. If I go to there, it's sound. But where I've been fishing, that is I really, really never thought it was that soft. That is incredible. And if I pop that up a bit more, now I'm on the bottom, which is what? 3 inches difference that's gone in 10 casts. That is absolutely incredible. But you need to check these things. It's doing little things like that. I've fed no bait there hardly. 5 or 6 little lumps of ground bait. There's hardly any bait there, but because of the fizzing that we've seen, it did look a bit dodgy. And then after checking it, wow. I don't think I've ever had a peg go that quick. And that's in real time as well. What you lot have seen me start fishing, we haven't had a break. We've carried on fishing all the way through. That's why I'm not catching. It's not because I'm useless, like you said, Jay. It's the fish's fault, making it go deeper on me, wasn't it? Right, now we're fishing on the bottom. Let's see if we actually get a bite. It's crazy. I was like that far above the fish. How mad's that? Anywho. Back in. Let's see if that makes a difference, actually fishing where we need to be fishing. I've gone in with maggots this time as well. Just to maybe be a bit more standouty. And now that I've seen them dig it out the way I have, I might actually move my bait around my peg a little bit more just to slow that down. And what I mean by that is not feeding in exactly the same place. And I've got half a metre left and right that I can move about to. So I may just spread it just slightly around them areas a little bit more, just to prevent my peg from really, really going down that fast. Because that was fast. That's like westward levels of silt. Must be like a little hard crust on the top, and they break it and then they're away. Oh, that'd have been the perfect fix then. I missed it. Look at that. That's just me here. There's another 6 inches of depth. Let me go back on this and have a little go. So what it should do is go down a little bit to get the really soft stuff off. That's what you tend to find. And then the bottom will eventually harden up a bit. And once you reach that, then it can get nice. So there's a few different ways of doing it. You can either do that or you can move them about. Like start new pegs up and start again. But that completely defeats the object of what I'm trying to do in this case. It'd be great if it was F1s and carp, yeah, sound. In taps or micros or whatever in different areas of peg, wait till you blow it out and start again. With this, it defeats the object of trying to concentrate them in one area. So what I'll do instead is just keep on plumbing every 15 minutes, whack plumb it on. Just check. I mean, it takes nothing to check, 10 seconds just to check. It 1,000,000% doesn't bother the fish one bit. And at least it means that you're fishing in the right place and not over, not off the bottom. Come on, here we go. That were better. Hey, you could be weird, MJ. What are you going for? So there is lots of fish there. I'm just off the bottom. That's all that was going on. This could be a crucian. I hope he is. Could even be a tench. So it's nice. Fishing light as well. Dropping down to me red slick and he's a foot one. Dropping down to me red slick and nice 0.11 hook length. It's lovely in it, just enjoying everything instead of trying to catch everything at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So that's it now. I feel like we've got an understanding of it. Really nice now. It's definitely doing its job. The ground bait's pulling them bigger fish to the back of it. But I think sadly today was slightly made confusing by it getting so much deeper. I was convinced it was a lot harder than what it actually was there. So just before we go, I'm going to have one final go on maggots. Just to see if anything's settled on that yet. Well, there's still clearly a lot of fish over the other one. Let's get them on my mark. So my maggots as well. What you find with that when fishing over silt is that because your bait is far more spread out, the increase in depth happens far, far, far slower. Here we go. They're what we're after. They're like back to front. I've got F1s on me ground bait and carp on me ground bait, and I've got a load of big bream on me maggots, loose fed. But the peg is happening now, and I've got options, and it just ends up being now a lovely day catching quality fish, just like him, Bobby the Bream, by skipping between the two areas. So very, very similar to the last one we did at Old Huff about catching carp down the edge and keeping things simple, keeping that one area to peg. Just as I said then, it just gives you a far better understanding of what's going on far quicker. Yes, there's problems, which almost, yes, it's a pain in the arse for me today, but it's a good thing. It shows you the sort of problems that do occur. But by keeping things simple, you understand things far, far quicker, and you keep all the fish in one place, meaning they are far easier to catch. So hopefully you enjoyed that one. Feel free to click on the like and subscribe, because it really, really does help us out at Sonubaits. And also it means that you're notified anytime myself or any of the Sonubaits consultants put a video on, because they are going on all the time. But other than that, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.